Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this webinar with the RAF, Engineering Officer Communications Electronic. We are joined by the team from the RAF today who will be sharing a little bit about their experiences and how they got to where they are today. Just a couple of housekeeping rules. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A tab, and the team will address your questions towards the end. And please use the chat tab for any appreciation that you'd like to show the team. I'm going to pass on, first of all, to Harry, who's going to be sharing a little bit about his experiences. Thank you, Harry.
Good afternoon, all. I've been a regular in the RF for about 3 years now. Before that, I was a sponsored student on a scheme called the Defence Technical Undergraduate Scheme, while I studied electrical engineering. Since then, that scheme's gone, doesn't exist anymore. But there's a new scheme called the Defence STEM Undergraduate Sponsorship Scheme instead. So if anyone has any questions about university sponsorship schemes, I can talk about that a little bit. Essentially, you just get a bit of money in your pocket and a guaranteed job at the end of university, so it's not a bad idea. Once I finished my degree, I then went off and did my initial officer training. So that's about 6 months at RF Cranwell, teaches you the basic like leadership management skills that are relevant to the job you'll have in the RAF. Everyone will do that. Every officer will do that same training, and then went on to RAF Cosford for the Engineering Officer Foundation training, which is essentially another 6 months just to teach you the ins and outs of the cyberspace profession. After that, was posted down to RAF High Wycombe, where I was the desk lead for Combat Air within RAF Digital. Essentially, that means that when they've got new programs coming into service, you need to ensure that all your systems are assured from a cybersecurity perspective. You've got all your risk governance compliance in place, and then you've also got to consider things like deployed comms. So if you're going to deploy F-35 jets to any country overseas or onto the carriers, how are you going to communicate with them? And with the increasing complexity of like fifth generation fighters, that is a pretty big job. Additionally, then I got to look at some fairly interesting new programs. So my portfolio covered F-35, the entire complex weapon portfolio, some of the synthetic trainers, because if you're working on super secret fighters, you can't necessarily demonstrate all your tactics in the air. So we train them in a synthetic environment. And also the capability called Storm Shroud, which is the RAF's first autonomous drone platform. So that flies around and it has its own stand-in jamming capability. So it clearly has a fairly large dependency on RAF Digital to be able to bring that into service. And that's been in for about 6 months now. So I've got the date wrong. I said during summer 25. Last year, during summer 24, I was fortunate enough to attend what was called the Advanced Course in Engineering Cyber, which is 12 weeks in upstate New York, working alongside the United States Air Force Research Labs and the NSA. You get to basically get hands-on experience with cybersecurity, mostly from a red teaming perspective, but a little bit of blue as well. The NSA are the best people in the world to teach you that as well. 12 weeks, really intensive, about 100-hour a week workload, but incredibly rewarding. Learned an absolute load from it, and as an officer, you don't get that many opportunities to get really stuck into the technical problems. So it was really a great opportunity to be able to do that. Unfortunately, it did make me do an 8-mile run every week, but one of those things. Then when I got back, I continued back in that RAF digital job for a couple more months till March 2025, when I came into my current job at 591 Signals Unit. So we are the RAF's defensive cyber ops unit. We're the only people that do that within the RAF. I came in as officer commanding technical information assurance flight. So I'm the MOD's lead for Tempest, which is testing aircraft and looking if any of your secret information is leaking in ways that you wouldn't want it to. So obviously anything electronic has emanations coming off of it. We'll look at those emanations and see if you've got any unencrypted secret information leaking onto clear, so leaking onto your unencrypted radios. Additionally, we also do technical surveillance countermeasures assessments. So anywhere the RAF operates, if we're handling classified information, we want to ensure that we're doing that in a controlled way and in a controlled environment. So we have teams that will deploy anywhere in the world on short notice to essentially look for any bugs or clandestine eavesdropping devices that foreign intelligence services might have planted. So that's particularly interesting. Back when I actually did my phase 2 training, I saw this job and was like, that's really cool. And then fortunately, I was lucky enough to get it only a few years later. Outside of work, I try and do as much like adventurous training as I can, because who else is going to pay me to go and spend a week doing AT? So I've had the pleasure of doing mountain biking trips. A couple of years ago, I organised and led a trip to Scotland to go mountain biking. I've been to Poland mountain climbing, so that was rock climbing and mountaineering. And unfortunately, this year I was able to do my parachute foundation training, which is one of the best experiences I've ever done. That led up to my first parachute jump, which was terrifying but awesome. And now I'm booked on next year to go and continue my parachute training. Additionally, outside of work, a couple of years ago, I think it was about 18 months ago now, we started the cyber community of interest for people that wanted to get a bit more involved in the more technical roles within cyber. So I've taken part in a couple of different cyber exercises. For example, Army Cyber Spartan, which is an exercise the Army run every year. We turned up and beat a load of their teams last year, so that was quite satisfying. And then we also organise stakeholder briefs and training events. So if we've got people that are interested in those more technical roles, but because they're quite niche, they don't really know how to get into them, that's something we try and assist them within the community. That's just a quick whistle-stop tour of the past 3 years of my life. If anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. But for now, over to Tom.
Thanks, Harry. Thanks for changing slide as well. So welcome, everybody. I'm Flight Lieutenant Tom Pinder. I've done a bit longer than Harry, so I'm coming up to 17 and a half years. I might not look that on camera because I know I look quite young and pretty. But I've had quite a wide varying career, so quite a different pathway to Harry. We went through DETUS. I've actually joined as another rank, so I actually joined as a non-commissioned. During that period, I've worked across all the A4 capability piece, so this is actually looking at supporting and enabling air operations, as well as actually supporting the deployed communications and above secret communications to support operations. And then once I commissioned, I actually moved into defensive cyber and network security. So I've been very fortunate that my pathway as an engineering officer, I've actually moved straight into cyber operations, not necessarily the wider global and tactical communication side of it. And the RAF digital piece, where there's a lot of info ops and understanding how we get the correct information and define risk in cyber defense risk. So I've worked alongside multiple force elements. So I've deployed all over the globe. I've been in Afghanistan, Oman, Turkey, Germany, Poland, and during this period, I've had a wide-ranging role. So I've gone from assuring, doing cyber mission assurance plans against specific operations, and actually foreseeing them into fruition once deployed. But I've also been, when I was another rank, at the forefront of making sure that aircraft were safe in the sky and when landing, supporting a rescue gear. So as you can see, very wide-ranging. After 13 years, I was very fortunate to be in a digital post, working under a joint signal unit for partners across government. And during this, I got an exposure to communications, electronics officers, and the world of IT. Before that, I was an electrician, and then I moved into this digital post where I was supporting communications data centers and designing data centers and understanding the resilience and how we can support that. This obviously made me realise how technology was changing in industry and how it was moving forward in the Royal Air Force as well. So with that, I actually commissioned after achieving the rank of sergeant and decided to go into the NC profession, where I was fortunate enough to be selected, where I went on to MIOTC. Because I'm an ex-ranker and I've come in from that scheme, I missed the first 6 weeks of Cromwell because of my prior military training. but I still had to do that full 18-week package alongside direct entrance and do exactly what you did. But what that did bring is my experiences into helping you through training if you did join, and working with DS staff to be able to help tailor and make sure that we get the right out with the training to support everybody throughout. So I'll now go into a bit of my career, actually from when I first joined up. So as you can see, I've supported the Tornado GR4, which is unfortunately now out of service, but we're a fantastic aircraft. But with this, I was supporting the maintenance and modifications of airfield support equipment. Again, that moved into supporting in Afghanistan and making sure our rest gear and air ops was maintained, supporting multi-platform equipment to actually support the army as well. And then in June 13, I got to move to Coningsby, where I actually got to be in support of actually maintaining a lot of Typhoon platform equipment. And most recently, obviously, in my new role, I'm now working with a Typhoon from an NUC perspective, so I can tie in my electrical background of understanding industrial control systems and how they work, alongside that cybersecurity posture as well, and understanding how we can better defend critical networks on aircraft. So you can see that my prior career has also supported my new career. Following that, I was very fortunate to go to RAF Odeon, which was a highly deployable unit. The Chinook is probably one of the most sought after aircraft when we come into exercising and supporting operations. And with this, I got to do deployed operations on Shader in support of Iraq and mission sets there with Joint Helicopter Command. And as I said, I moved in July 17 into JSSU Digby, which is where I was a digital post supporting above secret computer information systems. And this were across government, it weren't just for the MOD. And I was responsible for a lot of high profile shutdowns of major infrastructure that actually support a lot of the communications information systems that we currently use on missions from the UK and overseas. So again, that's my prior career feeding into my new career from a defensive cyber operations posture and how I supported that. And that actually moved into like site compliance and understanding how we actually conform to MOD standards when it comes to defense, critical national infrastructure and defense IT systems. So we're talking about operational technologies and also IT systems. So that has been my focus. In March 21, I was very fortunate. I got promoted as another rank to senior NCO deployment. So this is where I'd had my digital experience being working alongside the IT profession, but this was now the deployed IT front, whereas I was the enabler to ensure that all global operations and communications up to AS were deployed into austere locations, but made sure we had that reach back to UK and ensuring systems and critical mission systems were secure and supported. What come with this is, fortunately, I commissioned at that point. Went through engineering officer foundation training, which is a 6-month course based on all the requirements to make you an engineering officer. So when we talk about cyberspace profession and engineering officers, you are not necessarily the technical frontline support where you're hands on keyboards, but you're the one that's going to be managing, understanding, and having that strategic foresight and that forward outlook to understand how and why it's critical to support those operations, and how we as officers can articulate might be what's quite technical into a simplistic understanding and give it an operational context on why that risk is relevant for a commander to make a decision based on an operation. So after doing 90SU as a sergeant, I came back as an NCE. I did this for a few months until I did my phase 2 training because of my prior experience. With this, I supported the deployment of above secret communications globally across the world, which come with that a lot of understanding of how our cybersecurity posture is set up, going into certain locations and understanding the zonings that are critical to when we're deploying that equipment. Following that, I was very fortunate to move into OC mission support team, which is now what Flight Lieutenant Nigam Joshi is in as OCCME. So it's obviously transformed and moved forward with the advancements in our air and our defensive cyber operations has moved forward as well. So with this, I was the lead on multiple exercises from a technical perspective, so what we call blue team, so that defending force element, understanding how we defend critical assets on a network and how we can pivot to go against a red threat adversary. So very much like Harry did the red front training, understanding how we can do red threats against networks. I was the blue side of it, understanding how we can defend against those threats and make sure that we align our tactics, techniques, and procedures in line to be able to better protect and defend networks. And that really moved me, fortunately, into gaining a position as OC operations and 2IC to 591 issue operation. So as you can see, the other two on the line are 591. I was 591. I was very fortunate to actually become OC operations. So that was actually the lead for air for all non-correlated cyber events, incidents, and making sure that all defensive cyber operations activities in all locations globally were effectively deployed, controlled, and successful. So I've been very fortunate in regards of actually receiving a lot of bespoke industry training on understanding what a security operations center would look like and how I could build a team into actually being an operations team and understand how we can do digital forensics and incident response in line of security incidents. This is probably the most far right you will get in the Royal Air Force when it comes to talking about cyber within the Air Force, not necessarily defence, because there is other organisations within defence that we as NCE can sit in, for instance, like Joint Defences Cyber Unit. We have people in there that look after the core systems for defence, whereas Air are very focused on those intelligence-led operations against non-core systems that are critical to an air operation. And that's where we, as the engineering officers, are critical in making sure we can define and help people understand the operational risk to that air operation based off cyber threats and the cyber terrain that we actually have. And then moving on to the current position. So in November 24, I was posted into the ASWC, which is the Air and Space Warfare Centre. So this is a one group HQ, which is responsible for a lot of force elements and the doctrine. But my role specifically is the officer commanding the Defence Cyber Range. So this is a facility that enables either test and evaluation or cyber collective training. How do we do that? We build those bespoke environments up to tier 0 to 4 training. So when I talk about building an environment, we'll go out and do discovery work on a critical system that's been deemed a priority within air. And we will sit down and we will do the network mapping from start to finish, understanding what their hosts are, what operating system they're using, what patch state they are, so we understand what vulnerabilities are actually on that network. And we do that up to secret and to TS. But what we do with that is it's an air gap system. So when people, no, I didn't, Neil. But what I did ensure is we're an air gap system. So when people come to exercise on my range, we protect those tactics, techniques, and procedures so they're not exposed to outside agencies. So we're not connected to the internet. So there's no threat vectors from the Internet of Things to be able to attack our networks, and it can be done in a confined environment where we understand where there may be gaps or where there may be strengths, and that's how we develop those collective training objectives, not just for the Air Force, but for defence. So these are all different cyber protection teams that are looking at those critical systems, and we ensure that we can support and facilitate that collective training. And then moving into the test and evaluation, this can be as novel as just a piece of software that you might be trying to deliver. So think of it as like a DevSecOps function. We can provide an environment, again, air-gapped, logically separated from anything else. So it's just focused to you within a Docker container that you can then develop and understand how you can utilize that software, break into that software, or however you deem fit, and that can be both red and blue activity. When we talk about offensive cyber, though, that moves over to the National Cyber Force. That's nothing to do with defence in its own right. So you'll see that when you come into the Royal Air Force, there's a very big focus on defensive cyber operations, because that is what we focus on as a defence asset. So that's pretty much my career out the way. So it sounds very work oriented. I'll now move away from work. I've been in a very good position where I'm not too bad at football, and I've represented every station that I've been at. So when I say this, I've done Moreham, Coningsby, Odium, Digby, Cosford, Digby again, Leamin, and also Waddington. All these stations I've played and managed the station football teams, winning multiple leagues and competition cups. And that's what's good about becoming part of the Air Force. It's not just about working hard, we also play hard, and we have those opportunities that are presented to us. So Harry spoke about going and doing a lot of AT. We've actually got Eagle schemes physically set up, so you can actually go and do any form of force development or adventure training, and it's actually funded by the RAF. And these are just a few of the perks from a mental health and well-being perspective, because we do expect our people to work hard and be put in uncomfortable decisions to make uncomfortable positions to make difficult decisions. So we need to understand how we can protect our people, and this is just a few of the examples through it. Competitive sport, and I mean the sport's wide ranging now, from running, from football through to table tennis, and there's great opportunities. And for myself, as you can see on my slide, it says I'm a dedicated family man. I like camping, walking, and playing football, but I've got 3 boys, and family life's quite important to myself. So having that work-life balance, the military getting more understanding of that, and they're putting a lot of stuff into place, such as flexible service to be able to afford you to have reduced hours in work. And it's about working with your line management and understanding what you can afford and be flexible with, depending on your position that you assume in command, or be that a staff role as well, because we don't just command people, we're also in staff positions that are required to actually be a digital post where you're informing policy that's going to be key to future decisions. But that's quite a quick canter through. I know there's a lot of information there, a lot of talking, but again, like Harry said, if there's any questions, please either feel free to the end of the Q&A or ask now. I'll move on to Nigam then, thank you.
Good afternoon all. Myself, Flight Lieutenant Nigam Joshi, and I work at 591 RF Digby. Same as what you heard previously from Harry. I work with him currently, and Tom was in my position before I arrived to 591 Signals Unit. I started at 591 last year in around September time, and since then I'm officer commanding of a cyber mission enablement flight. I'll come to that one in a chronological order later on. I had a very different path compared to Tom and Harry. My background, I was born in Ahmedabad, is a city in a state of Gujarat in India. Had my formal education and first 2 degrees from India as well. So I studied BSc honors in physics, and in parallel I was studying BSc IT at the same time. And also I was a part of National Cadet Corps, similar to university cadetship in UK. So I was doing those 3 things over 4 years. I completed them, and then I applied for the masters in UK at Salford University, which I got, and I traveled to UK in 2004. October 2004, I came to UK, studied masters in computer science, as I said, and published a paper on data mining back in 2005, along with 2 undergrads and my professor. And my dissertation was in artificial neural networks. After completing my master's, I submitted my dissertation and went back to India, where I then did a further studies on SAP BI, and then become an SAP BI consultant. I worked in Mumbai for a year as a SAP consultant in a diamond industry client. Having worked in that sort of environment, where in an IT consultancy firm for a client, I wasn't making the most out of my lived experience. That's what I felt at that time, that okay, I had a small team of consultants that I work on a daily basis, and a client that I handle. Work was pretty rewarding. Money wasn't the issue. The treatment, the life was good. Living in a hotel, for over a year, pretty good. But still, I was feeling something is lacking. I'm not making the most out of the experiences that I should be, gaining from the life. After pondering for a few months, thought, like, I'm away from my actual home in Gujarat. I'm living in Mumbai, similar to what I was living in UK for over 2 years, previous 2 years. So then thought to travel back to UK, came back, and then decided to join the military. As I've done the cadet, ship in India, I've traveled extensively within India as well, seen the naval establishments, Eastern Naval Command, Western Naval Command, Officer Training Academy, where I went on a orientation course as well in Goa. So I had that bit of inclination towards the uniform service, during my university time. So I came back and then thought to join the military. Now, at that time, I found out going to the career office that it's not that straightforward, for a foreign Commonwealth person to join the British military, which is rightly so. It's a different country, so it wasn't. I was expecting a bit of bumpy ride or a pushback, but then I wanted to go into technical roles. It didn't happen because of the security vetting and etc. So I applied for RAF back then for commissioning, and the certain jobs that I wanted to go into technical field, they were not open, and so do with the Army. Then Army offered me, to join as a soldier, which I did, and then offered me a trade of a combat HR specialist. So I joined in 2009 British Army, as a combat HR. After basic training, my first job was in my first posting was in Germany with 1 UK DSR, next to 1D headquarters in Hereford. I did multiple tours in Germany back to back. So from 1 UK DSR, then I got posted to 16th Signal Regiment in which is called RF Bruggen, used to be, and then it was taken over by 16th Signal Regiment. They moved in. It's at the border of Holland and Germany. In total, I did 5 years in Germany, then moved back to UK, then went for 6 months in deployment to Falkland Islands. And from Falkland Islands, Army decided to send me to Brunei for 2 years. So I got posted to Brunei, attached to 7 Army Air Corps unit. When I was at Falkland Islands, I come across my commanding officer was from RAF, wing commander, and he mentioned about transferring across to the Royal Air Force. So I started the process in Falklands, and then in 2019, I made the shift from Army to Air Force. That's how I started my career in Air Force after 10 years serving with British Army. So I went through the same phase 1, phase 2 training. Phase 1 at RF Cranwell, and phase 2 at Cosford. Same as what Harry explained. 6 months of phase 1 training and 6 months of phase 2 training. After completing the phase 2, my first posting as a engineer officer was at RF High Wycombe in the position of project manager for digital optimization team. Part of which I was in charge of coordinating activities with the suppliers, vendors, again, working with IT consultants like, Capgemini, Capita, working with them to develop the digital solutions under a program called SSP program, which was again, I was handling anywhere between multi-million pound budget, working with this contractors to deliver the digital solution for the Air Force. As a first posting, it was a staff job. So usually you come across, if you ever join Air Force as an officer, you will come across basically a command position or a staff position. Command position is where you have a group of people, or you say a team to command and lead. And as a staff officer, you are more inclined towards writing and influencing policy, making sure that the TTPs that you create are then distributed across the RAF, and they are taken into they get implemented accordingly. So working at a policy level or a project level, is basically you will come across as a staff job. So my first posting was as a staff job, managed the digital solutions, created multiple digital applications which are in service today in HR, in logistics area. Having done a year and a half at High Wycombe, opportunity come across to me to work with a NATO, and then I got posted to Turkey for 3 years, working in a NATO's land headquarters. So between 2021 and from 2021 to 2024, I worked at NATO HQ, where I was part of the G6. So in Army, they say ground from, and we have various from 1 to 9 functional areas, and 6 is dedicated to the communication branch, basically. So I was working for the ground communication side, but as a operational planner. So I was in charge of planning operations, looking after mainly the communications deployed and field communication side, planning for operations for NATO, particularly of the eastern flank. So quite an interesting job in terms of, I never experienced anything like that before in terms of operational planning, coming from Army background. So my previous background did help me in order to understand the land tactics, etc. That's been actually physically been employed in wider operational planning. Also learn how a multinational organization like NATO works, and how we do the operational planning with our NATO partners. It was quite satisfying to see that even though UK is relatively smaller on the map, but how influential we are when it comes to international stage, and what sort of power we hold in terms of when they say pen is mightier than sword. Working in NATO, that was very much apparent, and sorry, my boy just walked in. So that was quite interesting, having seen, and doing the operational planning in the NATO headquarters, working with various different other NATO headquarters dotted around the Europe and across the Atlantic as well. And in the second year working there, the Ukraine conflict started. So my predecessor told me that, Nigam, you can pick and choose how much busy you want to get, with this posting. It's quite good. The location is amazing. I was based in Turkey, Izmir. So on a Mediterranean coast as well. Brilliant place, fantastic accommodation. Everything else was the whole package. If you see the living standards, quite decent. And life was good. But from the second year, things changed as soon as the Ukraine conflict kicked off. And seeing that, the actual geopolitics playing out in front of you, in front of me, it was phenomenal. How the decision making works, how the planning works, how various different national entities, how their defense plans, comes together. Or it was proper. I found myself proper into thick of it, and then as a result of which, I was also given opportunity to go and work in GFC Naples in Italy. On the 9th of May parade, when the Putin was giving his address, I was sitting in that joint operational center in Naples, and seeing how we are preparing to respond to the threat coming from the east. So all these things enriched my experience and overall life, I will say, which is quite phenomenal. It's not a sorry, excuse me. Really sorry for that. Apologies. That's what happens when you try to do something on leave from home. So yeah, it was quite an interesting job working, in the NATO HQ as an operational CIS operational planner. That's also another staff job. From there, in my last year, I was given responsibility to establish the network operating center within the HQ. So I started that work and then handed over to my successor. Whilst I was at NATO, I also managed to complete the NATO cyber pathway. So that comprises of like 6 different, cyber courses, and they've been delivered by the NPS, which is a naval postgraduate school in Norfolk in US. So the professors, they come from there to Germany, and there's a NATO school in Oberammergau in Germany. So I used to travel from Turkey, to Germany for them courses, which was I think in a normal, in a normal commercial world, there are very few opportunities like this. What Air Force or a military career gives you, the level of experience and the that you will gain within your life. When you look back, it just gives me, personally a different level of satisfaction. From there, I got posted to Finance 1 Signals Unit. So while going through the phase 2 at Cosford, we had the various station, and unit visits, and I visited Finance 1 back in my phase 2 training time, and I knew that they are into defensive cyber operations. So that was in my head to come there and work at Finance 1. So then I've done back-to-back 2 staff postings, and then it was time to do a command position. So Tom's job got opened up as he moved into the ops officer role, and then I applied for that position and started last year in September at Finance 1, as a OCCME. In my current role, I'm in charge of a highly, technical people in terms of, networking and engineering side. And the role of my section is to basically enable all the other sections within the Finance 1 in terms of, their whether it is in terms of tools, the training requirements, whether it's looking after the network of the Finance 1 Signals Unit itself. We also cover the full life cycle management of any project as well. So any new capability that any of the teams within the Finance 1 Signals Unit requires, we bring that in. We scope it out, do the business case, all that stuff, and then we deal with the air commercial to identify the right vendors, and then work with them in order to get that capability in service. Now that could be from anywhere from a software tool that is required in order to carry out any defensive cyber operation activities, to establishing a AV suite within the unit, or revamping the NER or network engineering room in the building. Currently I'm busy with a project which is quite strategic in its nature, in order to enhance the detection and monitoring capability in terms of cyber, or not just only the Air Force, but if the trial goes successful, then that will get extrapolated out to the other 3 services and defense wide. So that is something, again, that particular project or that capability been brought in over 8 years ago, but for various reasons, that hasn't been completed to a degree that we wanted. So there is still a room for improvement in it, and hopefully by next year if we manage to crack that, then that's another massive achievement in terms of defensive cyber operations. So as an engineering officer now since 2019, and if I see after training from 2020 onwards, it is quite satisfying in terms of the level of decision making that you get involved in, the level of projects that you come across is phenomenal. The amount of experience that I have received from just 5 years within Air Force is unparalleled. So in a command post, I'm not, as Tom mentioned earlier, that you won't be, or as an officer in general, you won't be working hands-on on things, but you will be managing projects, you'll be managing people, processes, training, which is quite vital, which enables any business unit, or let's say in this case the Air Force, to achieve its operational objectives. So I have a very different, as I said, path from Tom and Harry. Thoroughly enjoyed my time in Army as well, and then in Air Force. It's really satisfying. Been now 16 years in the military, of which I've spent 11 years overseas, and 10 years as other ranks, and now 6 years as an officer. That's in a nutshell, in terms of work. Outside work, I've managed to play volleyball, swimming. I've done sailing from Kiel to Aarhus, and all this stuff I've did it within the service in terms of military service, both Army and Air Force. So 10 days of sailing, from Kiel to Aarhus was a phenomenal trip that I still remember. And that's all paid, not a single penny I have to spend. And not just paid for the activity, but also you getting paid for, like you don't have to take any leave or anything like that. So you're still getting paid your normal wages as well. Recently, I think 3 weeks back, we did a hiking trip, a 3 peaks challenge within the UK, going up the top 3 mountains in Scotland, England, and Wales as well. So there are plenty of opportunities if you are into sports, any extreme sports. One of my staff member is into snowboarding. He just won a gold medal as well, and that this is literally 2 weeks back. My flight sergeant, he's a keen jiu-jitsu player. He set up his jiu-jitsu club on camp. There's tons of opportunities in terms of AT as well as sports. It's just to create that resilience through through sports, which also helps in defense, which also helps people to be resilient when it comes to the real operations in the field. Other than that, I'm also a chair of the Defense Hindu Network, which is quite a privileged position, which takes a lot of my time nowadays, in terms of planning, in terms of writing and making policies, and also with the community engagement piece. So every year we do, various festivals we organize, like Raksha Bandhan Roadshow we do, or starting all the way up in Scotland, and it ends in House of Lords, in London. Diwali function is coming up on 4th of November, where Chief of General Staff, Chief of the Army, he will be chairing this year. Last year it was a Chief of Air Staff who hosted it. So each year we rotate that around. So very high level, engagement opportunities I get, which gives me a different level of satisfaction to work for our, community, both inside the defense and outside as well. So that's something quite close to my heart. Serving people of the same of my background and community. I think I've covered a lot, and I hope if anyone within the audience, if you are coming from a outside as an international student or anything, and if you have any questions how to how to join Air Force and what are the pathways, then reach out to me. If anyone's from other faith backgrounds and stuff like that as well, and if you have any questions around that, in MOD we have over 90 odd different networks, and each faith has a network as well, and just want to assure you guys that as an organization, equal opportunity is paramount, and the values that RAF or Army, or in that case I will say even Navy, all try service, the core values are quite I will say values and standards are primary to everything that we do, and it's very well rooted as well. So if anyone have any questions or reservations, more than happy to answer, in that respect as well, and share my own experiences if that helps. But I think I will end there, and if happy to take any questions now or later.
I can see the question from Nicole Cameron. Reference, I'm currently doing a Masters in Chemical Engineering. Would I be able to do the role of an engineering officer, CE, or even aerospace, or would I have to apply to be another officer? Basically, the eligibility criteria will be on the RAF website, but a degree in chemical engineering will definitely probably give you the right eligibility from a qualification perspective to be able to apply for engineering officer, CE, or AS. Hopefully that answers everything for you.
You can definitely join AS with it, because I know someone that did.
There you go.
If you reach out to your local recruitment office as well, if you're unsure.
Apologies for the pronunciation here, for Tmiloluwu. With regards to contact details, it's just purely your recruitment office, so it's just the local armed forces recruitment officers that you can only really engage with to get further information, but they'll have all the information that's required.
And if the question is, what I offered earlier, like in terms of if you want to clarify anything on the DNI side, then I'm more than happy if the moderators share my contact. People can contact me on that front. But in career perspective, as Tom said, please contact the career office. They will have all the information.
Thank you so much to the three of you for a wonderful presentation. I was just wondering if I could ask a quick question for you all to share one piece of advice to the students who've been engaging on today's webinar, just one piece of advice that you'd like them to leave with. And then before we close the webinar, that would be really grateful to hear from all three of you.
I think the best advice I could give someone is just take every opportunity you can. If you hear about something, put an application in, because other people might be umming and ahhing about whether or not they'll get a space. So if you're unsure, chuck in an application and see what happens. Quite a lot of the stuff I've applied for, I didn't think I would get, but just chuck in an application, because what's the worst that can happen? They say no. And now, as a result, I've managed to do some really cool trips and go to some cool places and get some good qualifications. So just do that.
Just a general advice, I will say, never take no as an answer as well. If someone says no, seek for other avenues, so that whatever you want to achieve, you can achieve. And whether it be in military or outside, that's just from my experience.
My experience, my advice to you would be the most important thing about the Air Force is we're one big team. We're all in one fight to win, but all different backgrounds, all different cultures have a very valuable input, and that's why it's so important that you engage. There's doors there to be opened. Open them, and it might not always be a right door. I use an analogy of a sliding door, and you go through the door whilst it's sliding open. If it's not right, you can always come back through. You can kick another door down. It's really important to engage with people and work together, because having that holistic approach to something, be that through first recruitment training, be that through engineering training, or be through that in your day job, we're always going to be a team, and there's always going to be a valuable input. And make sure that you use your SMEs around you, so your specialists around you, to be able to go after what we need to get, to be able to have an advantage against what adversaries that we are going to come up against in the near future. And it's always about having that forward thinking outlook. So that's all I'll say. Thank you.
I've just noticed there's been a few more questions in the chat. So for the ones more focused around like sponsorship schemes, if you've been rejected from the STEM one, it's probably worth looking at university air squadrons, because I don't think they specialize based on profession yet. I think you do that after you've finished university. I might be wrong on that, but I think that's how that works. So I'd recommend looking at that. Probably the same for the social science question as well. In terms of international student question, I'd say probably NIGAM might be best poised to answer that.
Yeah. So as an international student, if you are on a student visa, I don't know whether your degree will offer you a post-degree work visa or not. But bottom line is you will need a work visa to join the military. That's how I came in. I completed my master's, and then which gave me a 2-year work visa in UK, and which I utilized to join the military. Back then, it was you require a 6 months valid visa and valid passport, and you are to be from one in Commonwealth or Commonwealth countries. Others, I think the military service is not open. If you're not of either British or Commonwealth background. I hope that might have helped. But past the career office will they can tell you the latest regulations from the Home Office, which might be more relevant in your situation.
One of the things I have just remembered that I think is probably worth adding is if anyone is currently on a sponsorship scheme and is interested in doing that same trip I did last year to the United States, it's open to anyone at like undergraduate level, so you can do it while you're doing your degree. So if anyone's interested in that, it's called the Advanced Course in Engineering. Your staff will be able to, at your squadron, will be able to find out about that because it's on ModNet.
Also, there's a question on if you're doing a social science degree. There are loads of professions within the RAF. Engineering is one of them. So if you speak to the career office, they can definitely or you can go into RF website and search for jobs, and you will see what's the entry level threshold or the requirements are, and again whether that aligns with your aspiration of what you want to do as a career. But to become an officer, I think you require a decent GCSE grades and A level grades. So degree shouldn't be a problem. In terms of engineering, there's a requirement of an engineering degree or a technical degree at least. But there are many other professions like admin officers, project officers, infrastructure officer. I mean, within the admin side, accounts officer, legal is another branch. Training is also part of it as well. So you'll see all these roles on the website, and then you can align your social science degree and what you want to pursue. But it's not something that's going to stop you from joining Air Force.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, team, for answering the questions of our students. And thank you so much for your time. So just a quick little outro before we end the webinar for today. Thank you so much to all the students who joined in today and asked the questions. Thank you to Harry, Tom, and Nigam for your time, sharing your experiences so openly and honestly and comprehensively. And we hope to see you at a future webinar. Vicky has posted the link to any applications in the Q&A tab, so please make sure to click that if you'd like to apply for anything. And if you have any further queries, you can go to the Target Jobs website where the RAF channel for employers is there. So thank you all, have a wonderful day, and we hope to see you very soon at a future webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you all, and good luck.
Thank you.
Cheers.